What's up, Knicks Nation? KOD Nation, stand up. And all you DJs, wake up and get your coffee. My brother Phil, what is good, baby?
What up, bro? How you doing, bro? Good weekend?
Good weekend. Good 50-50 good weekend. We got one
Yeah.
Nick win, one Nick loss, but a good weekend overall, bro. How about you?
Yes, sir, bro. Serious. Same thing. Working all weekend, watching the game while my clients aren't looking, watching it on my phone, and then some family time. So it was good, man. Knicks ups and downs, but personally, all ups. Just a good time.
Yeah.
So can't complain, bro.
I am just always, and I said it on the last show, and I'm gonna just keep on saying it. But I am just super jealous and jelly of your backdrop that you got right now. Can you let me know where I could get one when I'm finally ready to get one, bro?
Yeah, bro. So my homegirl, garage girl, Erin, she is just mad talented with, the crafts. So any kind of like sport logo, any kind of like business logo, anything like that, like when I get my photo studio again, I'm going to have it for my photography and everything as well. I'm going to have her make one. So yeah, garage girl, Erin, the link's in the description of the YouTube. Tell her we sent you. She'll take care of you guys for real. Like woman of character, like just spot on.
Yeah, that's dope. I was checking her IG, and the work that she does, like you said, it's just top notch. It's just real dope work. And as well, since you hooked this up, I got to shout out the people that sent us this T-shirt. Hey, the Etsy store is in the link below. Thanks for the merch. We got many more coming.
Yep.
Oh, hold on, wait to make sure my mic is good. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Yeah. The dude that made this dude named Frank at Frizzy Designs, like just solid dude as well, so it's kind of cool. Like we've been doing this for a few weeks, and just being able to see like people that are just like, yo, we vibe with what you guys are doing, and we want to be a part of that in some way, shape or form. So we, salute to those people that have really been so helpful to us and that sent you guys that shirt. So that's the one Celso wore last week, same thing, Frizzy. So my wife just walked in and she's like making fun of me at my door right here because there's no when your studio is at home, there's no restrictions. So she's at the door going like this.
Yeah. I get it. Trust me, I get it, bro. You gotta love it.
I wish I could flip my camera around and embarrass her, but it doesn't.
You gotta love it. I just want to shout out the chat real quick. Mr. Eric Wallace is in the building. Eric, what it do, baby? The Knights is here. And you know what? Let's talk about it, bro. Because the Knicks, we are 4-5 so far.
Yep.
To start the season. Shout out to my brother Bones as well. VSN Network is in the building. But yeah, we are 4-5 so far. Let's talk about these last two games. Let's start with the game against Philadelphia, the 76ers. What's your take on that game?
Yeah, man. So what I liked about that, and the way I kind of sum it up is desperation looked good on Tibbs. Like the theme for me of that game was everywhere you went, people were talking about like, are we going to fire Tibbs? Like, is he gone? And what are we going to see? And I feel like in desperation, he put on outfits that he has never been willing to like wear in his 69 years of life. Salute DSJ. But yeah, so seeing him do that kind of stuff was incredible because the show previous, we talked about, let's see what an Obi Toppin like Randall lineup could look like.
Yes.
And with Embiid being out, that was the perfect time to do that. So we did get the W. I was happy to see that. I was happy to see that Toppin got 20 minutes and we saw how like incredible he could be in 20 minutes. Like I think he had, what was it? 60% shooting, 50% three.
Yeah, his efficiency was off the chain for that game. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, his efficiency for that game was spot on, was off the mark. And like earlier, like you said, that show that we was talking on, we had our good friend Jack Settleman, friend of the show, friend of the Knights of Dejan. Shout out to Jack Settleman. But he was on and he brought it up, wanting to see a Obi and Randall lineup. And you said it, Tibbs was just throwing anything against the wall to see what sticks. And I think that was more Tibbs trying to show the fans up because Tibbs like, all right, this is what you guys want. Let's throw it out there. Let's see if it works. And it actually did work.
Yeah.
And speaking on Obi Toppin, hold on. And 20 minutes, he was 6 of 10 from the field, but 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. He had 3 rebounds, 17 points overall. So it's an overall good game. 20 minutes from Obi Toppin, 6 of 10 is 3-point shooting. 3-point shooting has been phenomenal this season. Last game against the Celtics, not that much, but this season so far, coming into, what is it, 4 and 5, or so 9 games into the season, he's shooting well over 40% from the field, from beyond the arc.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch. And like what was crazy is he didn't start off extremely hot, so the fact that he came back in was the biggest like jaw drop, from coach. The fact that he even got more minutes at the end. I do think that, if Embiid was there, it would have been a little bit of a rougher time for us. Like we have to look at the facts, like Embiid and Harden were out, so there's still work we have to do. Like we definitely should have won that game with their 2 all-stars out.
No matter
but
what.
We did do a good job, like with working on something new and seeing what would happen with it. So now it's time to actually polish that so that when we play those kind of teams and Embiid is back and Harden is back, it's not, oh, now this proves that we weren't good enough to beat them. Like, no, we need to still prove that we can beat them when they come back.
Yeah, and also as well, for the Knicks side of things, Quentin Grimes, he started the game over Evan Fournier Friday night against the Sixers, but he didn't have that much of an impact. When you look at it, Quentin Grimes that game, hold on. When you look at his stats, Quentin Grimes, bear with me a second because this is loading up. Technology is a crazy thing that we have in life. But Quentin Grimes that day against the Celtics, his impact was felt, but it wasn't that impactful. He had 15 minutes. He was 0 from 1 from the field. He only shot 1 3. He missed it. He only had 2 points. He got that from the foul line. He had 2 personal fouls, and he had a couple turnovers in his limited minutes that he made. I get it. This is his first game of the season. But in that situation, I would have rather see Cam Reddish be in the starting lineup. We started Saturday, but what's your take on Grimes starting over Cam Reddish and Cam Reddish jumping into the starting lineup the next day?
Yeah, so, it's one of those things where, like we've said, coach is pretty stubborn. When he has something in his mind, he first wants to make that happen. So he's been talking about Grimes for a while, like how Grimes is this hidden star that's going to do this, going to do that. I do think we got to give Grimes some credit because some of the things that like doesn't really get like in the stats for that is like when a player would go and he would be able to like strip it off their leg, and it would be a turnover on their part, those kind of stats don't really show up so much because it's not necessarily a steal. It's just a deterring and that got us the ball.
That's a good point.
So he did good on that stuff, way better than Fournier has ever done for us. But I do think we have to finally get to a point where coach stops saying, prove to me that you should have these minutes, because when it comes to proving, Cam Reddish has proven his worth more than Grimes has. Yes, Grimes has been out, but Cam has been doing the grunt work to be able to get that starting spot. So I believe he should have started that game, and then Grimes come off the bench before even Fournier, maybe, if Tibbs really wants to see, what he has to offer. But we got to start practicing what we preach as a franchise. If we say you have to earn your minutes, do it. Because that's obviously not true, because Obi earned it in the first game. And like we'll talk about a little later, he still didn't get those minutes in the second game. So proving it hasn't really been a concept that we've put our money where our mouth is as a franchise.
Yeah, if after the after every game, every post game conference, Tom Thibodeau, he loves to beat on that fact that you just brought up. You have to earn what you get. You have to earn it in practice, and then you get it on the court. You have to earn it in practice and get it on the court. Cam Reddish, to your point that you just made, beautiful point also. Cam Reddish, every time he's out there, opportunity after opportunity, he shows that he deserves a starting spot in the starting rotation, even if it's just for a month. Even if it's just for a couple of weeks, just put him in the starter rotation and see what happens. Because when you look at it, You put Cam as a small forward and moves RJ to his better position, which I think we could all agree is the shooting guard at this point. Right or wrong, Phil?
Yeah, no, very true.
Yeah, so if we all know that RJ's best position is the shooting guard, put him in that position. And then he has his friend right next to him, Cam Reddish. Both of them had phenomenal games against Philly. Not that much Cam Reddish, not that much when he started against Boston, but he has to get used to starting. Overall, I think so far 4-5 into the season, this is a good spot for us, right? This is a real good spot for us. 4-5. We aren't going to go crazy and be 20 games over 500. So let's just let reality set in. 4-5, 9 games into the season. It's a good spot to be at, so we can figure out what's our identity. Because all the rumors talking about Tom Thibodeau may get fired. Tom Thibodeau may get fired. This is literally not even 10 games into the season. The team that we put on, like, let's be real, Knicks fans. Let's take the Knicks fans' optimism glasses off. Let's take that off and let's realize that this team is not going to be a top 4 team in the East. So it has to find this identity, see where we are at the trade deadline, and make moves from there.
Yeah, and so first on the Cam Reddish thing, that was crazy. Like, he straight up was, I believe, 100% from both free throw, field goal percentage, and he only shot 1 3, but he made the choice to only shoot 1 3, and he made that. So he was 100% on that game, which is just crazy. 4 for 4 in that first game. So he did earn the spot. I think the problem so much about him being fired, I think we have to look at it from both things. Yes, a lot of Knicks fans, especially in Facebook groups, are unrealistic. Like they think that he's going to be this, spotless
big cup of optimism
coach. But then I also think that too many of us give him too much grace, because we have to realize that there's certain things that, okay, something worked. Why are we not doing that again? That is a coaching mistake. It's like he does enough to try and warrant that people don't hate him, but then goes back to his stubborn ways, as soon as he feels like the fans or the franchise have let off, I'm not in the headlines anymore. I'm gonna go back to my ways. And it's like this back and forth pendulum swing of like fans getting what they want and then not. And so it's a little annoying when it comes to that. I'm gonna pull up this right here. Starting Grimes, that game was unfair to Grimes. When you value a player that's coming off injury, it's always best to bring him back slowly. Don't just throw him in the fire. I love this. Bones is spot on. Like, when you look at a good coach, like, even when Klay Thompson came back, they babied his coming back because they wanted to protect him. And he is a star, and he was dying to come back way more than Grimes was, because he knows what it's like to be successful, what it's like to play, how pivotal his role was on that team. Yet Kerr was smart enough to do it slow. Everyone who's smart enough does it slow. When you look at Durant, when he got hurt the first time, they threw him back as soon as it was possible. And what happened? He got hurt again, And so I think that's a very good point. Like, it's unfair to Grimes, who has not had like playing time. And we realize how much pressure is on the line for these next few games. And then we tell Grimes, hey, go prove that you are in a starting role. Like, I haven't played yet. Like, I haven't really played more than 3 minutes this season. Now you want me to put all this on my plate? That's just not cool as a coach.
The last time he played, an actual quarter in the NBA was in Summer League. That was the last time he actually played. He missed the whole preseason. So to have him starting, to Bones' point, and I'm going to bring it back up again, Bones is spot on. Like, we both could agree. That was unfair to Quentin Grimes. What were you expecting him to do, honestly? Having the first game that he started was 9 games into the season. Didn't even get a preseason game in. Didn't even get a quarter of preseason. Was injured. He has a foot injury. He missed Saturday's game because of the foot injury. And now we don't even know what's going on with Quentin Grimes in that foot. That's the scary part, because we know that the Knicks, as a franchise, they have a bad history when it comes to injuries and when it comes to being upfront and open with the fans and with the media about certain injuries. Go ahead, brother. You was about to say something?
Yeah, it's just we set him up for failure. Like, as soon as he didn't do what, like, coach told everyone he'd be able to do. Like, now all the fans are like, see, Grimes is a bust. Like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, no, stop looking at it from solely a player didn't like meet your expectations. Like, look at the whole story. Like Bone said, he should have never started. Like, we actually like did him an injustice by putting him in that role to try and make us a better team when he's not even really ready mentally or physically to do that. That was way too much pressure, especially in the Garden. Like, don't do that. Don't be a Knicks fan and hate on him for not succeeding after being gone for so long.
Yeah, because all you're doing now, one, you're messing with his confidence, right? You're messing with his confidence and you're messing with his knocking, right? That's one. Secondly, you're messing with his trade value, right? Because, you know, the Knicks, we all know that the Knicks in the NBA is seen as the kid that has all the toys to trade away, right? When it comes to draft picks, when it comes to young assets, like the Knicks is known throughout the league, like besides, you know, OKC, who has all those draft picks, the Knicks have a lot of draft picks and a lot of young talent they could give up. We'll get further on because there's some trade rumors, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. We want to stay into this realm right now. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. It was unfair to Grimes, right? Mentally, psychologically, and from a coach's standpoint. If you're a coach, why are you doing that to a young player? That's all I'm gonna say about that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That to me shows bad coaching, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you know, it's crazy that is what I've seen most people talk about in that game, and ignoring the fact that like players like Quickly went 1 for 7. You know, like Grimes went 0 for 1. You know, he only like made one attempt, you know, and we're giving him more of a hard time than players that should be hitting more than 1 for 7, you know. So I think our expectations need to shift a little bit, and we need to be a little more realistic and a little less like foot on the gas, motor mouths as fans. Like, look at the whole situation for sure.
Yeah, you know, and with where our team is at, we're literally probably like an NBA purgatory, right? We're not that bad that we're going to possibly get a top 3 draft pick, right, in the NBA draft, but we're also not that good to compete with the top dogs in the league, right?
Yeah.
When you look at this team, we are put together right now. So far, it's just 9 games into the season. We don't know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. We're not sure what's going to happen during the season when it comes to certain players progressing and finally becoming that player that we all thought they were going to be, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at this team, we are set up to beat the bad teams, right? When it comes to Detroit, when it comes to Charlotte now, because Charlotte has injuries. When it comes to Washington, we're set up to beat those bad teams. But when it comes to the big dogs, we have to be able to compete against them. Like you said, to your credit, that game against Philly, that was a make or break win. I honestly feel that if we lost that game, Tom Thibodeau would have been fired, because how can you lose a game to Philly that are missing both their stars, Embiid and James Harden, and you still lose? I understand Tobias Harris is a good player, right? Maxey is a good player also, but they aren't the superstars that Embiid and Harden is. You can't rely on those two to win you all game, 82 games. I mean, to win you games in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we have to be realistic on the ones that we've won. You know, there's been some charity thrown our way. You know, it should not have been that close of a game without those two in there. And so there are things that we still need to work on. What are we going to do when we play, you know, some of these other teams that do have everybody, you know? I think we just need to continue to buckle down. I think Cam Reddish needs to stay in that starting lineup until he proves that he doesn't deserve it. And when we go through, you know, this next game, we can talk a little more, but I think that's my worry, is just like Obi proved himself in game 1 of the 2 that we're talking about, and then didn't have the minutes in game 2. I feel like Cam did in 1, got put into that starting role. It wasn't exactly what we were hoping for in his start. I hope that doesn't make coach go, okay, now he's back to the bench. You know, Fournier is back in. Like, I'm hoping that we don't see that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is a good point by DSJ. Funny as well. He said Tibbs expected Grimes to hit every 3-point attempt and get 6 steals the moment he got inserted into the lineup. The same way he expected Frank to stop Trey in the first playoff game against Atlanta. That still burns a little bit for me, but yeah, he's spot on with it, right? So let's switch gears just a little bit. What was your take on that comment before we go forward?
Yeah, I think there's something that has to be said about somebody who, regardless of what everybody else thinks, you still think that you're correct.
Yes.
If someone was, if all the people that were close to me saw something in my character that was like flawed, and I was like, nah, it's not really an issue. Like, it's not, and everyone was like, bro, we're like the 15th person this month to point it out that we see you doing this kind of stuff. And I'm like, nah, it's good. Like, I'm delusional, and I feel like that's the thing with Coach, is that when you have all the podcasts, like you listen to us, you listen to Knicks Wall, you listen to in the morning, all these shows, everyone's saying the same thing. All the fans are saying the same thing. All the ESPN analysts are saying the same thing. Yet Coach is like, nah, my way's the right way. Like, no one else in the NBA, no other coach would have put Frank on Trey in that series. No one else would have expected Grimes. Yeah, like, come on. No one else would have expected Grimes to come out and have a Michael Jordan type game, his first game back. And yet Tibbs's mind tells him it's going to happen. So he's going to do everything to move mountains to make that happen, regardless of what everyone else says. And I think that's scary, bro. That's very scary.
Yeah, it is. And I'm calling it right now. Monday, November 7th. It's 11:22 in the morning. I'm sitting on the panel with my bro, Phil Porto. I'm calling it right now, Phil. By January 20th, Tom Thibodeau will be gone, will be let go as a coach. And the only reason why I picked that date, January 20th, because that was around the same time we got rid of Fizdale. That's around the time that, Knicks or just the NBA, that's when coaching changes happen, around that time, around January, late January, early February. So I'm calling it right now, January 20th. If this stays the path that we are on right now, win some, lose some, constant confusion over the lineups about who's starting. If this continues when it comes to rotations and stuff, I think by January 20th, this man would be gone and be let go as a coach of the Knicks. It's his last year on his contract, right? And enough is enough. It's time to put up a show. We said it earlier. Yeah. One of the first shows, Phil, kid gloves are coming off. There's no kid gloves. The kid gloves is gone. I love RJ, but RJ, you got to step it up. The last game against the Celtics, we'll go into it right now. Against the Celtics, efficiency-wise, RJ was phenomenal. Efficiency-wise, he was phenomenal, but he had 6 turnovers, and we can't have that. You're not going to win many games if one of your main key points in your offense and your team gets 6 turnovers a game. What was your take, Phil, before I bring up the stats?
Yeah, so once again, like I said earlier, we have to look at both sides of it, okay? So last time we talked, when we were talking with Settlement, we were talking about we don't have a player that can push and make sure that points happen. Yeah. And he was talking about how RJ's not that guy. I think RJ heard him, because all the things that we saw from RJ, especially in that second half, was RJ willing to get beat up to get to the hoop and pulling it off, like full on contact, full on determination. And so, like with anything, when a player turns and is trying something new, there's going to be some things that are going to have to get some bruises. Like, you fall off the bike a few times before you start fully riding it. So I think those turnovers came as, a bundle deal with that. Okay. He's trying something new. And I feel like once he realizes how to do both, protect the ball and be able to drive the way that he did, I think he's going to be a scary player because he showed signs of what he could be. So yes, there were 6 turnovers, but I feel like we have to show grace because he was also 9 for 15. He was also 3 for 5 from 3-point. So he was making wise decisions. And I feel like once he gets a little bit of a handle on how to be this player that we said we want him to be, I think those turnovers will be something that he can protect. One of the announcers even said that it looked like RJ Barrett was a running back, the way that he was grabbing the ball super tight and saying, I don't care, I'm getting to the hoop. Like, I'll deal with a few games of him like learning, and dealing with a few turnovers here if that's the player we wind up getting at the end, because that was some impressive stuff that we saw from him in that game.
Yeah, and then also a big takeaway for me when it comes to RJ Barrett, when you look at his stat line, the turnovers was bad, but he was 6 from 6 from the free throw line. To me, I think that's the overall improvement when it comes to RJ Barrett so far in the early parts of the season, 2022 to 2023. Because last year, that stat line of 6 to 6 from the line, it would have easily been 2 of 6 or 3 of 6 from the line. 50% or less than 50%. But honestly, 6 for 6, his improvement from the line so far, that's the big takeaway so far early in the season. And let's look at the rest of these stats. Julius Randle, he played 40 minutes. That's a lot to put on Juju, but in 40 minutes, he was 10 of 19 from the field, right? 3 of 7 from beyond the arc, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 blocks, 3 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Overall plus minus was a -8. He was 6 from 6 from the free throw line, 29 points. Isaiah Hartenstein getting the start over Mitchell Robinson because Mitchell Robinson was injured. And then this is where I feel like the Knicks didn't take advantage of Boston, right? I understand Hartenstein is limited on what he can do down low, but Boston was a void of a big man. They started Blake Griffin at the center position that game on Saturday. That goes to show you where they were at when it comes to centers. But Hartenstein, 38 minutes he played. He was 5 of 6 from the field, no 3-pointers, 14 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, no turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Plus minus, he was a +7. No free throws attempted, 0 steals, 10 points overall. So from Hartenstein, I'll give that a thumbs up. That was an A+ game from Hartenstein. He gave the most that he gave, right or wrong.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, like you said, we needed to utilize that a little more. I love Mitch. I love Big Mitch. But let's be honest, where he fails for us is what he can do offensively. Like great at getting rebounds, but if you're not giving him a lob, or a catch off the rim and dunk it back, you're not getting buckets. He's just not a bucket guy. So we had a bucket guy who was being efficient, like extremely efficient. And they weren't really being able to stop him. So I think there should have been some more getting it to Hartenstein, a little more attempts, on his end shooting, because he was really efficient. And I think that I think that the two of them, Hartenstein could be a little more like dog-like when it comes to defense. I think he needs to learn that from Mitch, and Mitch needs to learn a little more of the offense from Hartenstein. I feel like blending those two would make us incredible in the paint.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out real quick to the chat. Shout out to my guy, Chris Joseph is in the building. Chris, what it do, my guy? He says, I'm believing he's talking about RJ, but he's like, he's great. He's great at getting to the hoop, but he needs to focus on finishing through contact, plus for the foul too often. Yeah, 100% agree with you, Chris. And we understand that RJ Barrett in year 4 of the NBA, he's not going to get the same calls as somebody who's an 8-year veteran who's in the NBA. As RJ Barrett continues to improve in this league, he will get the respect from the referees, and he will get the calls that he deserves, because sometimes some of them plays going to the basket, he gets fouled a lot, and there's no calls that are being called by the referee. I know a lot of Knicks fans are saying, oh, that's a bad shot by RJ. That's a bad shot by RJ. Why would he do that? But at the same time, he's drawing the fouls, but they're just not being called. They're just not being called.
That's spot on, because like a lot of people that will say that will see the same drive from DeMar DeRozan and think that it was dope because DeMar gets the call. Like every call DeMar gets, like he's a vet. referees give him that respect. He gets the call. Even some calls that he shouldn't get, he gets. But if RJ did that, he would be crucified on the message boards. So I think we have to look at like the fact that we watch some of these in slow-mo or we watch the replay and we're like, oh yeah, that was a foul. Like there's no way they went all the way up. They went this way. He got hit, but he doesn't get those calls. And so my thing is, if he plays for the foul, as long as he makes the free throws, I don't care. It would be nice to get the extra bucket, the extra 1 point, but he's making those free throws that we were complaining about last season. Like you said, he was 6 for 6 free throws?
Yeah, 6 for 6.
Yeah, so like let's say that he got more of those calls and he got on the line 10 times, 10 for 10. Like that's more and more buckets. So I want to say that he's got things to improve, but I don't want us to always be like he's got something else to improve. Something like, can we celebrate the victories that we already have? Like, can we not just complain, celebrate what we have seen growth in, even from one game to the next?
So far for 2022, for his career, RJ Barrett is a 70% free throw shooter, right? That's including this season so far. But for this season, RJ Barrett is shooting 81% from the free throw. 81. I'm going to say that again. RJ Barrett is shooting 81% from the free throw line. This is what we need to see from RJ. Keep it up, RJ. But let's go to Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson in the last game, 33 minutes, 10 of 17 from the field. He didn't hit a 3. He was 0 for 2. He had 3 rebounds, 10 assists, though. That's a key important. 10 assists, getting that offense moving. No blocks, no turnovers, 1 personal foul. He had a -3 on the plus minus, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, overall 22 points. So he was 22, 10, and 3 in the last game against the Celtics. Solid game from Jalen Brunson. This is all that we can ask from Brunson. Get the offense clicking, be that leader, be that quarterback, be that leader that we need as a point guard. And whatever happens is whatever happens. We just gotta play. We just gotta do good with the opportunities we have.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like, as much as he has the ball in his hand, the 0 turnovers time and time again is something we need to celebrate. Like so many people are like, oh, I don't know if he was worth the bag. Oh, Donovan should have been here instead. Like, do you know the last time that any point guard in a blue and orange uniform has had 0 turnovers in a game? Like,
and 10 assists,
more than one
and
game,
10 assists,
and 10 assists. Like, are we serious? Like, when I say blue and orange, you would have to be thinking of the Gators basketball team or something like that, because it wasn't the Knicks. Like, it definitely wasn't the Knicks. So we need to celebrate that and be like, yo, we're going in the right direction. Like so many people talk about getting that all-star and that we need pieces. Jalen Brunson's that piece to eventually get us somewhere. Like, there are stars that are going to want to play with a guard like Jalen Brunson. We need to celebrate the victories, see what's going on, see the fact that Jalen is killing it. RJ is growing. I think, we played a better team, but we still looked incredible, in certain areas against the Celtics.
Yeah. Another point I want to bring up, Chris, again, with another point, spot on. Hold on. He said, I think people overlook how RJ had, hold on, wait. I'm sorry about that. He said, I think people overlook how little RJ had to shoot in college. Good point. He basically came into the NBA as a layup guy and has improved his shooting every year. Every year, RJ Barrett's shooting has improved. And then DSJ, he says, heck, at Knicks Morning Brew, it's great to have a floor general. But if you let to stop getting scored on with ease, you deserve better from the Knicks. 100% agree. Defense is the best form of offense. If you have a great defense, great defense leads to easy offense. I can't disagree with you when it comes to that, DHA. But for me, it's a team effort overall from the defensive side of the game, because RJ gets beat, Julius Randle gets beat, Mitchell Robinson, as good as he is as the defender, he can't stay on the floor. He's always in foul trouble, and that's the big part of Mitchell Robinson. It's year 5. He got the bag. I need to see better improvement from Mitchell Robinson. He's injured right now, but let's see what happens when he gets back. Now, as we continue, let's look at RJ Barrett, who we were just talking about. RJ Barrett, 37 minutes, 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 blocks. Those 6 turnovers is what literally killed him. He had 2 personal fouls, but even with those 6 turnovers, he still finished with a +4 for the game, with plus minus 6 for 6 from beyond the arc, 1 steal, 27 points overall in the game. Great game from RJ Barrett, but minus those 6 turnovers, I think it was a phenomenal game from RJ Barrett. What's your take, Phil, before I get to Reddish?
Yeah, I agree. And like Chris in the chat was saying, like, we have to look at the player that RJ was, like in the roster that he was part of in Duke, like most of the actual like shots that were being taken that weren't in the paint or layup style were all through Trey Jones. Like when it came through like the rest of the play, you had guys like Zion and Cam and RJ, and they were known for their in the paint game, their driving game. That's what made the Duke team exciting there, so everything we're seeing from RJ, he's learned in these 4 years. So everyone's like, oh, he's not a baby anymore. And I'm like, no, but he was a completely different player, like completely different, like when he came into the league. So the fact that we can look and say, holy crap, look at the numbers. Look at the fact that like in 2 games, his percentage has been up, like all this stuff. Like we have to look at the growth. So I give it props. Like I said, the 6 turnovers, unfortunate. But that's not something that we see often from him. That's why I say, hey, we have to give some kind of grace. He tried something new in how he was driving the ball. So if we want one, we got to take what comes with it, because if you look at the games that he wasn't doing the things that we say we want him to do, he wasn't getting those turnovers. He was just passing it up top. Now he's actually making moves, and we're going to learn from that. So I give it off to, RJ. I think salute to him. I love seeing the growth in a player that's not willing to just sit down and be who he is.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I want to pull up this point from Eric Waters. This is why I love my guy, Eric. He said, oh, Reddish, I got a feeling Hector's going to go off on your butt. You know what? It's not going to be that harsh. It's not going to be that harsh, E. I guarantee you that. But Cameron Reddish, 37 minutes. He was only 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc. He had 2 points, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, 1 personal foul. He was minus 14 on the plus minus. 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 still 4 points overall. Now, this is not the game that when you look at the stats that you say, you know what, this was a great game from Cam Reddish when it comes to his stat line. This is not one of those games. What I will say is from the defensive side of the ball, right? Watching Saturday's game against the Celtics, Cameron Reddish was probably one of the only starters besides, I want to give Randall some credit because he was engaging on the defensive end, Randall. But Cameron Reddish, he was very engaged on the defensive side of the ball. That's one thing I'm gonna say about Cam Reddish when from his game on Saturday. Defensively, he wasn't that bad defensively. What's your take from Cameron Reddish last game? And I need Cam to step it up offensively next time he's in that starting lineup.
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. I think once again, it's coaching that sets the player up for failure. Like, here's the thing. If I have a player that's struggling that bad offensively, time and time again, why am I keeping him in for 37 minutes? Why? Why am I not trying to bring someone else in so that his minutes to efficiency rating is not getting destroyed? Like, and it's not costing our team. Once again, you look at the minutes, Obi went from 20 where you're like, oh, him and Randall played well together, to now Randall's in a lot with Cam. Cam is not being sufficient, yet Obi's only getting 14 minutes. And Cam is at 37 on a day that he's struggling offensively. That's poor coaching. That's absolutely poor coaching and makes Cam look bad. I will say that Cam was the only one that was not 7 feet away from his guy on the perimeter. Like, he was the only guy that was trying to at least be within hands distance of his player. Where he struggles defensively is that when a player moves, his feet don't move fast enough. So he gets burnt. So figuring out how to curve his body a little bit differently will help him. But he was at least the only player who said, if I get scored on, they're going to earn it. Like everyone else was at least 7 feet away going, hey, you're a great 3-point shooting team. I'm going to stand back here. So,
yeah.
And that goes back to coaching too. So I think that this is on coach more so than it is Reddish. Reddish had a bad game. He should have been pulled. Toppin should have been back into that effective him and Randall lineup that we saw the game before that we did not see for some reason. Because like I said earlier, coach will do something that everyone wants and be like, see, I did it, and then not do it again, which makes no sense to me.
And good point. Shout out to my man Bones again, because again, my guys in the chat are always hitting it right on the head. He said the offense doesn't seem to be the problem with this team. It's the perimeter defense and the pick and roll defense, which is spot on. He says that says a lot once you know the coach is supposed to be a defensive coach. Bones, I couldn't disagree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Bones, you spot on. Tom Thibodeau, he's supposed to be known as a defensive coach, right or wrong, Phil?
Right.
That's what he's known
coach for. In a different era,
Bingo.
Like you put him against Hakeem Olajuwon, you put him against, David Robinson and Tim Duncan and stuff like that. It makes sense. You put him with the Shaqs who can't shoot anywhere past like the paint. Like you have a great defense, but a defense that he coaches doesn't guard the 3-point line, which is where most teams are getting their buckets these days. So it makes absolutely no sense. I don't remember who it was, but I was online in this one Facebook group, and they took screenshots of the Celtics game all throughout the game. And you see the shooter here and Randall here in every single shot, every single one. A team that is putting up what they put up, like 40 something threes.
They set a franchise record with 3-pointers. And that's the thing. This is the second team in 1 week that set a franchise record for threes.
Yeah, it's insane. So
it's ridiculous.
It's like anyone that watches us this season knows that they need to go for the 3-point shot. They know it. So any team that thrives from 3 is excited to see us on the schedule. Because
if you're a decent 3-point shooting team, if you're a decent 3-point shooting team, you're gonna try to get. What was it? It was against the Cavs that the Cavaliers, they shot 53 pointers and they hit 26 of them or 24 of them.
Didn't Blake Griffin get one on us?
Blake Griffin got one off on us.
They even talked about how Blake Griffin rarely will ever shoot a 3-pointer. And Blake Griffin felt confident enough to say, oh, I'm playing the Knicks. I'm going to shoot this. Because he knew he had the room, which is insane. So I don't blame it on our team because they said in the comments, our offense is doing well. We're seeing things start to polish, but good offense with absolutely no defense with a coach who claims to be a defensive king, it is just going to continue to fail us week in and week out.
Yeah. When you look at the team stats, when you look at the splits from the team, this is what it was. Boston, 47 of 88 from the field. The Knicks were 46 of 90 from the field. So almost identical when it comes to field goal percentage, but this is where the big difference is. Boston Celtics was 27 for 51 from beyond the arc. They shot 51 threes. They knocked down 27. The New York Knicks from 3-point range, we were 11 for 27, basically half the attempts and makes, less than half the makes that the Boston Celtics had. We shot 40% from 3. They shot 52%. Now, we shot good from 3. We shot 40%, but you're not going to win many NBA games, especially in 2022, when your opponent is hitting 52% from beyond the arc. You're not going to win many games, bro.
No, and we got to be realistic. We do have some players who have some strengths offensively, but when we get Mitchell back in, like I said, we have a weakness there. So if we're going to play teams that have guys like Porzingis, who are their big guys who shoot threes, and we have, teams, a lot of bigs are shooting threes now. And so if we're not going to guard them, we're not going to be able to deal with a lot of teams that are 5 people strong offensively. Like, we're just not going to outscore them. We're just not. The only way we're going to beat those power offensive teams is if we have some kind of defense. We can't go blow for blow with them. Like, you go up against a team like Golden State where every single person can hit a three-pointer and we're not guarding it. It doesn't matter how bad their season's been. They're going to look like kings against us because their strong suit is our weakness. They are great at three. We are horrible at guarding the three.
And this is then this is where you look at coaching, right? And then this is where you scratch your head, because the game prior that we won against Philly, he ran out Julius Randle and Obi Toppin out there, right? Obi Toppin played the most minutes he played this entire season against Philly. I think he had 21 minutes against Philly. In this game against Boston, I'm gonna bring it up right now. Obi Toppin only had 15 minutes played. If you needed a game to have Obi Toppin and Julius Randle paired together on the court at the same time, it was against the Celtics. If the Celtics are running out Blake Griffin as the center, you can't tell me that that's not a prime game to take advantage of that. The game, I love Isaiah Hartenstein, right? I said Isaiah Hartenstein, he's done well so far. The starting lineup should have been Julius Randle at the center, Obi Toppin at the power forward, Cam Reddish at the small forward, especially if Boston is running out a small lineup with Blake Griffin as the center.
Yeah, it makes no sense, man. And one thing that really bothered me about that game with Boston was 40 minutes for Julius Randle out on the floor. Like, if you looked at him, he was gassed. He was exhausted. So if you have him being like good offensively and he's not doing great guarding the three anyway, like, give him a break so that he can come back again offensively strong. Like, we saw a lack of him taking shots, even though he was doing great offensively, because he was just so exhausted that he wanted the ball to go elsewhere. Like, seeing him in for 40 and being like, to the point where he was dying for breath, and then seeing the fact that Obi had 14 minutes, this is where I start to get frustrated again. Yeah. This is where I start to go, this makes no sense. And that's when you see Randle start to break down. Randle cannot handle that. Like, when he got that technical, or not technical, that flagrant, it was because he was exhausted, frustrated that he missed the shot, didn't get the rebound. What does he do? He hits someone in the eye. Like, wasn't even an attempt at the ball. Like, he starts to break down, and that's part of coaching too. Not just looking at their offense and defensive, like, promise or failures, but looking at the healthiness of the player. Julius Randle is not a healthy player when he feels like he's at his brink of breakdown. And that's when coach needs to look and go, okay, we got to take him out for the health of our player and the health of our team.
And I want to shout out the chat real quick. Shout out to my man Ron from Still Knick Fans. What it do. And I'm going to say this again before I bring up another comment, because there's another comment in the chat I want to bring up. But in a game, and I'm going to say this again to Tom Thibodeau, in a game where the Boston Celtics are starting Blake Griffin as their center, you cannot tell me that that's not a easy opportunity, on a great opportunity to have Randle and Obi out there at the same exact time. They had Blake at the center, Jason Tatum at the power forward. You cannot tell me that Obi Toppin and Julius Randle can't handle that down low. I'm sorry. I can't believe, there's no universe where I believe that they can't handle Blake Griffin and Jason Tatum on the low block, Obi Toppin and Julius Randle, bro.
And that's the thing. It's not the Blake Griffin that came into the NBA. That was crazy explosive, crazy young, crazy agile. Like, this is an older Blake Griffin that typically comes off the bench. Like, this is the perfect time to put in your young, athletic, like, running up and down the court Obi Toppin. Like, instead of Hartenstein, who is slower, who is a little more, like, in place. Like, we could have had, like, the power inside and outside on that game if we would have started Obi Toppin and Julius Randle. And it worked so well the game before, try it. And if it's not working, switch it up. Like, I just don't understand that stuff.
And I'm one thing about Blake Griffin, he has soccer dad knees at this point in his career. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. I want to pull up a comment. Shout out to my guy Chris, because he's always hitting it on the head. He's like, look at those plus minus numbers for Obi, Quick, and Fournier. That's not players playing bad. That's a bad lineup that cannot match up or work together. That's coaching. Absolutely, Chris. I can't disagree with that. What's your takes on that, Phil?
Yeah, it all comes down to coaching. If we want to stop for a second and look at where we are struggling, the players don't have control of certain things. When we see certain things that we've asked for, but it's at the wrong time.
Yes.
Early in the season, we were like, yo, Grimes is killing it in Summer League. Grimes should start. We all wanted that. Then Grimes was injured. So coach can't be like, well, you guys said you wanted Grimes to start, so now Grimes started. Well, no, it was a different situation. He was healthy when we said that. Coming out of Summer League straight into it, he would have been great. But now he's been injured. He's still not 100%. None of us are asking for him to start. So don't say you're giving us what we want. It's just I feel like coach does things to protect himself for a second. And like I said earlier, goes back to his arrogance and pride of my way is the right way. And when you have someone who is so stubborn that even when he does something to appease everybody and finds out that he was wrong the whole time, that's what everyone was saying before the Celtics game. Oh my goodness, coach actually did it, and it worked. Are we going to see Obi and Randall starting together on this next game against the Celtics? Because it worked so great the game before. And then what happens? It doesn't. You know why? Because coach goes back to being coach, where he's like, okay, I threw you guys a bone. Now get off my back. I'm going to do my job. And he does his job bad.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher, bro. And it's before we have to hit the panic button, I'm going to just play this real quick.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed to the emergency car at the bottom platform.
If Tom Thibodeau doesn't get rid of his old ways and switch things up, the panic button will be hit soon. And I already think he's on the hot seat. To me personally, I already said it. I think he's on the hot seat January 20th. If everything keeps going the way it's going, I think he'll be gone and be let go by then. When it comes to him being a coach for this team. But Phil, we got a few minutes. Let's talk about the rumors real quick, right?
Yeah.
The Joel Embiid rumors. So it came out. Shout out to Bill Simmons and the Bill Simmons podcast. But Bill Simmons had it out there. We all know Joel Embiid, he's not happy with what's going on in Philadelphia right now. Apparently, the rumors came out that Joel Embiid, he told the front office, this is starting to look like Houston 2.0, and he wants no part of it. So now we got the disgruntled superstar in Joel Embiid. As a Knicks fan, if you had a voice to the executives, are you making this deal? And who are you giving up for Joel Embiid?
I'm doing the deal, straight up. I believe that he has proven that he can do so many things in his position that a lot of people can't. He can play that paint. He is a hard defender, but he can also shoot a jumper, a good jumper. He is a good player. And I think he actually fits in our team. I feel like he is a player that could really fit with the Jalen Brunson type player, because Jalen's great at assisting, but he's not a merely pick and roll kind of player. He doesn't really have anybody right now that he's doing pick and rolls with. It's just not something that our team does, so his whole thing is that he doesn't want to be a pick and roll player where he just gets the ball and then Harden drives and he has to give it back to Harden. I think that fits him better, where he gets the ball, he starts to do what he does in the paint. And if he gets doubled, he can kick it out to Brunson. He can kick it out to Barrett. He can kick it out to Toppin. So I personally would do the trade. I love big money Mitch. But if Mitch had to be part of the trade, I would do it. Because I feel like what Mitch does well, Embiid can do. and then helps us with the offensive stuff that we're missing. I would trade Quick. I would trade Grimes. I would get Fournier out of here. I would do what we have to do to get Embiid. Once again, I feel like I don't really know how to trust the rumors. It comes out every season that like 42 All-Stars have considered New York. And then it's been how many years since any of them actually have wanted to come to New York. And so I wouldn't really like bank on it much. And, you know, Chris just said we have to give up Randall, right? I would give up Randall. Like I would, you know, like I could easily see a starting lineup of Brunson, Barrett, Reddish, Toppin, Embiid. Like I think that would be a great lineup. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead. Finish. Go ahead, bro. Yeah. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I would do the trade.
Yeah. And for me, the difference when it comes to making the Embiid trade and making the Donovan Mitchell trade, the difference is Philly is in win now mode, right? Utah was trying to rebuild. So Utah wanted more young players instead of established already NBA players that was an all-star like Julius Randle. Philadelphia is in a win now mode. They're not in a rebuild mode, right? No. So they're not going to try to rebuild and want young assets, that many young assets, but they will want young assets. If it was me, the trade would be Mitch, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier just for contract to be matched up, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and 6 first-round picks. Yep. Those are the players I'm giving up, and 3 of those first-round picks are unprotected. I'm sorry. Make the trade. 6 first-round picks, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes. Lock them all up, put them in a package, call up Philadelphia. Joel Embiid is a superstar we need. And like you said, a team with Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and Joel Embiid as our starting 5. That's a good starting 5. Yeah.
And I think we still leave enough where we have some, you know, strength on the bench. You know, we still got Hartenstein. If we wanted, we bring up McBride, you know. We still got Sims,
McBride,
you know. Yeah. And so I think that's, you know, there's a great thing Chris Joseph said, and I'm going to pull it up. He said, Embiid is also a guy that proved that he can win a playoff series when the rest of his team disappears. He's a guy that you can count on. And we don't have that in Julius Randle. So that can go. And the thing is I don't think that with that lineup, he would have to bear that burden. I think that with the players around him, especially with the contracts that we just got for Obi Toppin, like that's a great contract for someone in our starting lineup, you know? And so I think it would be a great fit. And he's 28 years old. So there's still a lot of juice in the tank for him. You know, he's not the kind of player that has been constantly bogged down with injury year after year after year. You know, he's dealt with some, but he's always bounced back to be just as good of the player as he was before. So yeah, I would go all in on that for sure.
Hold on, because I'm looking something up right now. Over the next, let's see, the Knicks have 9 first-round picks, right? That they could use in a trade. DSJ, I know what you're saying. Keep some first-round picks to gut the team. We need to get Joel Embiid. We lost out on Donovan Mitchell. We need to get Joel Embiid. So if we have 9 first-round picks, including other teams or whatever, 3 of them could be ours. 3 of them could be another team. And Bones, he said, no way you're giving up that much. For Joel Embiid, you seen the package that, if you think about it, the players that I named, Mitchell Robinson, that's a player that Philadelphia would use, right? Julius Randle, that's a player that they would use. Evan Fournier, he's just in there just to match up salaries because Joel Embiid, he has a big salary. He's making like $43 million or $42 million so far. So Evan Fournier is in there just to match up salaries. I don't even think Philadelphia would even use Evan Fournier, right? And then you got Quickly and Grimes. Grimes has been hurt. If Grimes wasn't hurt, we'll probably be able to put one of them into the trade, not both of them. But since Grimes has been hurt, his trade value is not that high as it was in the offseason. I think that's the package that's going to have to be put together to go after somebody who was second in the league in MVP voting 2 years in a row when it comes to Joel Embiid. I want to shout out my man Quiet Money is in the building. Quiet Money, what it do? What's your thoughts on that real quick before we dip out? And we got the Timberwolves game. Let's do some quick predictions before we dip out, bro.
So I'm going to echo what you said. It's not really that much. Like, yeah, we're giving up a lot, but like, how many times have we gone back and forth with this whole Randall thing? Like, let's be real. Like, now we're getting someone who is consistent through and through. Mitch is good.
Candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. Mitch is good. But like I said, Embiid can do everything Mitch can do and more. Fournier, come on. Like, really? We're not giving up anything. We're actually like blessing ourselves with that trade. The picks, yeah, it's a little unfortunate. But when you look at the fact that in his career, he averages 26 points per game, 11.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, almost 50% field goal percentage, and 81% free throw percentage. Like, come on. Like, you're hoping to get someone in the draft in those years that can possibly even hold the candle to him, as opposed to a guaranteed all-star year in and year out that has even taken mediocre 76ers teams to the playoffs and held their own. So I would definitely do it.
Yeah, and I'm bringing up some my man Bones before we go into the preview for tonight's game. He said a front office would not go that deep. I can see them giving up Randall, Evan, and Mitch, and maybe a couple picks, but not letting Grimes go. They proved that part already. Bones, I agree with you, but my rebuttal to that is this. I agree with what you were saying, but the season is right now. It's 4-5. The back pages are burning up. Baseball is no more. There's no more back pages for baseball. The heat is now on the front office, especially at the starter we had. We literally have rumors that Tom Thibodeau was going to be fired. So right now, I think that all chips are on the table. Nobody is going to be held back, especially for a guy that was an MVP pick. And also, he's a CAA guy on top of that. Everybody talking about Donovan Mitchell. Joel Embiid is a CAA guy. That's a guy that Leon Rose knew as a teenager as well when he was overseas in Africa, back home. So Leon Rose has known Joel Embiid ever since he was a 14-year-old prospect back when he was home. So I understand the front office, they were very hesitant when it came to giving up for Donovan Mitchell. I think that's more because we already had Jalen Brunson in place. Yeah. I feel that if we didn't have Jalen Brunson in place, they would have went all out to get Donovan Mitchell. But because we had Jalen Brunson in place, they didn't feel that hamstrung to go get a Donovan Mitchell. But now when you got Joel Embiid, who could be your center for the next 5 years, pairing next to Jalen Brunson, I think that's the move that you got to make, hopefully. Yeah. And then, hold on, wait, I got a few people here. My man Quiet Money said, I would definitely do the trade. This week showed us that the league is literally star-driven, and without one, you're destined for mediocrity. 100%. DSJ said, in all honesty, I do the deal, but I'm a troll. You know, I got to clown a little. Gotta love DSJ. Gotta love it, DSJ. But, bro, let's do some predictions real quick because I got to get out of here. I got a doctor's appointment. So, for tonight's game, what's the score? Who's winning? Who's losing? Phil, it's on you, baby.
Is Mitch back for this game? He's still out.
So far he's still questionable. He's still out. So
I honestly think it's going to be a hard one. Defensively for us, you know, you got two bigs that can score. You got Rudy and you got Towns, you know, so I think that defensively this is going to be really hard on us, especially because when those two aren't like dominating down low, they got good 3-point shooters as well, which we've proven we cannot defend. So if we're not defending the paint and we're not defending the outside, what the hell are we going to be doing tonight? That's my big question. I feel like offensively we can do well. I think it's going to definitely come down to, Rudy is out. So Rudy is out.
That's good looking, Bones.
That's good to hear.
That's good to hear. Shout out my man Bones.
I think it's going to come down to, once again, coaching. Who's starting tonight? Like, I think that's going to tell us a lot. If we find out Fournier is back in the starting lineup, let's hang our heads now and figure out how we're going to talk desperately on Wednesday about how pissed we are about that. You know, is coach going to go, man, I was an idiot. OB needs to go back into that starting lineup. Okay, let's figure it out. I think we can definitely hold our own. They're 5-5. So it's not like they're doing extremely great. I feel like they are still learning how to play together with this new roster, kind of like we are. So I think there's a chance. If I had to say, I would edge it to them because of their coaching as opposed to us. I feel like their coach will make changes that need to happen quicker than Tibbs will. But I'm praying for a Hail Mary.
Yeah. For me, what I'm looking for tonight, Quiet Money said we definitely losing tonight. Edwards is RJ, surrogate father. That's what I was going to bring up. I want to see the matchup between Quiet Money's between RJ and Edwards, between Anthony Edwards and RJ. I forgot his name for a second, but that's the matchup that I want to see, right? Because Anthony Edwards has owned RJ Barrett in every meetup, in every game that we won against Minnesota. Anthony Edwards has outperformed RJ Barrett. So I want to see what RJ Barrett does tonight, being that this is the proven year for RJ Barrett after getting a contract extension. And again, watch this be the day, right? When we don't have Blake Griffin as the center on the opposing team, watch this be the game that he starts Julius Randle and Obi Toppin at the same time. When we got Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns down there. He didn't do it in the last game when you had Blake Griffin and Jason Tatum down there, but he's going to do it in tonight's game. I guarantee you. Because why? Because it's Tom Thibodeau. Why would he do anything different? Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is my hope. Since we just found out Rudy is out, okay? I'm hoping that means Edwards is not going to be shooting guard, but that he's going to play that small forward role. And if so, we don't put RJ on him since he's struggled with him in the past. A good coach would say Cam Reddish is going back into that starting lineup since he played a little better defensively.
Yeah, RJ has an ego. RJ wants Edwards. I think RJ's going to want Edward.
But that's the thing. A good coach isn't worried about RJ's ego. A good coach is worried about winning. That's where he sits RJ down and says, yo, you struggled. There's no need to prove something for yourself. We need to prove something as a team. So let Cam, who defended him better, or give RJ 5 minutes to prove that he can do it different. And if not, switch it up, and then with Rudy out, maybe that smaller lineup does work, with Obi since Rudy's out. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let me shout out the chat real quick. My man Chris Joseph was in the building. Salute to you. Of course, Quiet Money. My brother Bones from the VSN Network. Shout out to my guys from over there. Chris the Flash. I know he's a Heat fan, but I still love my guy Chris the Flash. Of course, DSJ, who's just a clown. DSJ's a clown. My man the Smoking Nick was in the building. Shout out to my guy SK was in the building. SK was on the open panel this Friday. Guys, make sure this Friday coming up, if you weren't for the open panel last week Friday, if you weren't able to come onto the panel last week Friday, make sure you make some time to come on the open panel this Friday that we have going on. Quiet Money, I see you in the building. Quiet Money, if you got some time this Friday coming up, make sure you come for the open panel. But Phil, my brother, any last words before we dip out?
Last thing, if you guys are available, I believe our boy Julito is going to join us on Wednesday.
Yes, Julito will be joining us on Wednesday.
So tune in. We're going to have some good conversations with Julito, be able to talk about these last few games. And so it's always a good time connecting with him. So if you can join us, 11 o'clock on Wednesday. And then, like you said, Hector, come to that panel on Friday. It's so much more fun when we have a lot of voices that we can bounce off of each other and kind of like sharpen each other's thoughts and push each other to figure out what's best for this team. So thank you guys so much. As always, God bless. Hector, always a pleasure, homie. Appreciate you,
bro. Of course. And as well, shout out to my man Ron from Still Knicks Fans SKF. Listen, Ron, whenever you could get some time to like run into the bathroom while you're at work so you could jump on the panel. Just let me know. I'll send you the invite. But it's all love from the Knights of Dejan. I am your guy, Hector. This is my co-host, my man Pots and Pans, Filito.
We are out. You guys.
That's right. Peace.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed to the emergency car at the bottom platform.